we were
and then the environment was cleaned up.
First time I was hearing about this stuff. Wow. It was totally new to me.
With social impact consulting. Hello everyone, my name is Efwa Elens Ede with Social Impact Consulting. I'm a development consultant with 20 years of experience working with NGOs, international NGOs, and bilateral agencies to work in project support, monitoring and evaluation, and civil society strengthening. So now, I saw that local NGOs lack the capacity to manage large-scale projects, which can in turn impact their various communities because they have the connection based on their backgrounds. So this made me create this channel so that I can add value to you for free once you subscribe to this channel and get notified of upcoming videos. I look forward to hearing from you.
Well, civil society to me means associations, organizations, institutions that are not part of the state as state institutions. So that could be some private sector organizations, voluntary associations, community groups, and others that are operating on their own independent of the state. They are not part of the state. So I think that the classical interpretation and the meaning of what civil society is all about.
And civil society organizations are critical, very critical to development. They are critical to state building. They are also critical to promoting sustainable development in any society. And there's no society that advances its growth or records advancement in its growth trajectory without an active and a viral civil society. Because whether be it a democratic or a developmental state, an active civil society is central to actualizing that kind of state.
Civil society for me is almost like a bridge between the state and the citizens. And of course, some people call them non-profits, NGOs, non-governmental organizations, sometimes the third sector. I mean, you know, as the years go by, things change so dramatically. But I feel like we're a bridge, and it's a good bridge. It's a bridge that is also being built, so we can see the state here and you know, family and all the citizens here. And we're trying to just make sure that anything that has, you know, when you have like a bridge, you have sometimes loopholes here, you know, a little gap here, so we're trying to fill up the gap. That's what civil society means to me.
I know that over the years, people have the idea that civil society has all the money. So many times when you get into a community, people come to you with the mind that, oh, you already have so much, give to me. So I hope this documentary goes as far as helping even the poor to see that when people come into your community to solve your problems, it's not always because they have all the resource. It's because they have a heart to serve you. So mobilizing to support them will probably move the development faster than thinking you have to keep taking from them.
Hello everyone. How you all doing today? Welcome to another exciting episode of the Development Sector Series, such as Devsectorseries. That's the hashtag. If you see the hashtag on LinkedIn, make sure you follow it. You know, if you the hashtag on Facebook, Instagram, make sure you follow the hashtag Devsectorseries, okay? Please make sure you like and share these videos. You know, those of you who are watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Okay. I'm going to be joining you on Twitter pretty soon, so stay tuned. I'm at Social Impact Co. 1. So let me know where you're watching from so that I can show you some love during or after the podcast, okay? Platforms like LinkedIn don't let you chat from the streaming platform, so I may be able to sneak one in here and there, or most likely after the episode, okay? So the video that you just watched is the behind the scenes footage of Untold Impact. It's a documentary coming up talking about the role of civil society in national development. I'm going to be posting, in the upcoming weeks, behind the scenes footage, a few nuggets from the interviewees. So when you see it on any of the platforms, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, just make sure you like and share. Your support means so much to me. We had over 1,000 subscribers on Instagram, yay! And 1,000 likes on Instagram, and 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Okay, so we're on editing mode with Untold Impact. So I'm excited about showing, letting you know what's in store. We're going to be coming up with the trailer pretty soon. So that one I'm going to be sharing very aggressively. So your support means so much if you just continue to like and share. So we have a current guest, okay, that we're going to be talking to. He is actually a LEAP Africa Social Innovation Program fellow. I'm very, very excited about these fellows because it's one thing to be talking to folks that are in the trenches in the sector that have been working for many decades, but also talking to the people who are working in the future. And for some reason, the innovators are really focusing on the sustainable development goals. Last week we spoke to Mohammed Sabo Kiena, talking about the Amajiri child, the past, present, and the future. And it was a very engaging discussion. And a lot of people didn't really know, the story of the Amajiri child, And the week before, we talked to Dr. Abiodun Adereni. He's the founder and group head of Help Mom. And what he does is pretty much deal with maternal and child mortality rate. So I'm just excited about what they are doing, addressing problems in Nigeria, becoming the solution. And our guest now, is not any different from the previous guests, okay? He is the founder, of Ecotutu. It's a sustainable company that comes up with cooling solutions, and really adding a lot of value in the agriculture value chain, in the healthcare value chain. We're going to be talking about focusing on agriculture and sustainability in this episode. We'll more than likely feature him again when it comes to healthcare. So, just addressing some of the SDGs and then addressing how they're providing solutions to address the waste, the food waste that's happening from harvesting, in the agriculture value chain. So I am just going to read his bio, and then he will be coming up shortly. Okay, so I'm very excited. Okay, so our current guest is Babajide Oluwase. He's a chartered sustainability professional and founder of Ecotutu, a clean tech company enabling businesses in agriculture and health value chain to have access to affordable solar power cold storage solutions end to end. Since 2014, he has acquired extensive and relevant experience in creating environmental management solutions and has a proven track record of consistently establishing cost-saving initiatives. He is an ISO 14001 2015 Environmental Management System lead auditor with a bachelor's in technology honors and urban and regional planning for the Federal University Technology, Akure, and a mini MBA from Lagos Business School. He has extensive management experience in managing projects and driving compliance for corporate organizations and government MDAs. In 2016, He authored Young Climate Heroes book that has helped over 7,000 students understand the basic of climate change and sustainability using story and co-designed a zero waste integration program reaching 12,000 students in secondary schools across Nigeria. Babajide has extensive experience in Babajide is a recipient of multiple awards and a fellowship, including Sustainable Solutions Africa, 30 Under 30 Fellow, Earth Charter Youth Leader, Tony Elumelu Foundation GIZ Fellow, the George Ayiti Platinum Prize winner, LEAP Africa SIP Fellow, Global Shaper of the World Economic Forum, Eunice a Youth Fellow, Orange Corners Innovation Fund winner, NutriPitch Grand Prize winner, Africa Climate Change KIC Innovator, DAAD Scholar, and the Mandela Washington Fellow, amongst others. He currently advises the EU delegation in Nigeria and ECOWAS on green and digital economy. Now, these are laudable achievements, so allow me to introduce to some and present to others, Mr. Babajide Oluwase. Hello. I'm so excited about this, man. I'm excited.
I'm so
excited to have you.
shy. Is that me?
Yes, that is you. That's
Is that
you.
me?
Yes. I'm just so excited to have you on the program. I'm just like when like I said, I was having a conversation with Femi Taiwo and Osarume about featuring you guys on my platform, because I'm like, I need to talk to younger innovators that are doing great things. I mean, the older ones have led the way, so just seeing what you all are doing and at such a rapid pace, and it's just remarkable. So again, excited to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So, you provide sustainable solutions in agriculture and health. In this episode, we're going to focus on agriculture and some of the solutions that Ecotutu provides, and of course, your expert recommendations on the way forward. Okay. Yeah. So now we're going to just get started. So tell us, what are some of the causes of food wastage in Nigeria?
All right. Okay. So diving in straight into the question, the causes of food wastage, it's not like a simple, straightforward cause as we have known it to be in the past year. First, it's a systemic problem that stems from what producers, especially farmers, face in that space, right from when they about to harvest their produce. The techniques which many of these farmers, many of these producers leverage in harvesting their produce would go a long way in determining whether that food will be edible enough or will go through its proper process that it should go before it gets to the table of final consumer. So the harvesting method, then how it is being handled after harvesting, right, which we call the post-harvest handling phase. So how is it being stored? How is it being preserved? How is it being distributed? And when it gets to the retail point, how also is it being stored? How is it being delivered to the final customers, or in some cases to the final consumers? So these are like the major causes of food waste that we have been able to identify in the course of our work on the field. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we've talked about the causes of food waste. Mm-hmm. So you've already alluded to how it affects food supply. So Can you just add more, if you have anything else to add in terms of the cause, the effects? We've talked about the cause. So what's the effect? How does that affect food supply?
So the effect is in two phases, or I would say it's in three phases. First, it's in the social side, which speaks to, for those that are in this space doing this work. Imagine you've put in like months of work in trying to produce, say, tomatoes, and you already have projected return on that investment, on that effort in mind when you're eventually selling the produce. And because of how the produce is being handled post harvest, you're unable to tap or get the actual value or projected value that you have on this produce. That affects your confidence to remain in that business. Because I mean, imagine that you're having 40 to 50% of loss on every harvest cycle, right? I mean, it's just a matter of time before you dump that business
That's a
and then
lot.
go look for something else to do. And the population is growing. We need more food, right? Now imagine for those that are playing in that space, getting tired or getting demotivated to keep doing the business. And we're already complaining about food shortage. That means this will keep going down and down and down, right? So this speaks to the social and economic side of the problem. Then also the environmental problem, right? So across the supply chain, you have food that are expected or are supposed to be consumed by real people, like human beings, and most of it ending up as waste on the landfills, on the roads. Aside the fact that it adds the whole chemical, whatever that could happen in terms of releasing methane gas into the environment and all those things adding to the methane or ozone layer depletion and all of those things that science people would say, even the immediate impact that you feel around walking past rotting food on the road, on your drainages, the stench that comes from this is not in any way palatable, it's not in any way convenient for anyone to drive by. So, I mean, so it has a social, economic, and environmental implication on us as a people.
That is very multi-layered.
Yeah.
So I'm now going to transition into your story. So tell us the story of Ecotutu. And I know you guys had a previous name that changed to Ecotutu. So just tell us the story about how you guys started and where you are today.
Oh, interesting. So I mean, it's nice to talk about the story from the preceding question that you asked earlier. So Ecotutu. So I would say I have been so interested in everything that has to do with the environment from way back as when I was in secondary school. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks to the Governor Babajide Oluwase last program then, 2007, 2008, through the Climate Change Club. I mean, this drew my interest into everything that has to do with the environment and what we can do as a people. I took it on with me into my undergrad program, and I started doing a lot of advocacy around what is good for the environment, what is not good for the environment, what young people can do. And we would go to schools then. I mean, talking to secondary school students. I mean, I see one of the pictures, one of my friends shared one of those pictures with me like some months back, and I was like, oh my God, see how he looks so hungry. And I mean, but then there were a lot of passion, a lot of burning desire to want to like pass this message to the younger generation and stuff. And so this went on to towards the end of my undergrad program. That was in 2014, 2015. And while I was going around doing advocacy with friends and colleagues at the time, I was also very much open to improving myself, right? So I'm always looking for the next thing to learn in that space to get me more abreast of the issues I'm even going about to talk around. And I took a course then on system thinking that got me thinking about like problems do not stand in isolation, right? They're always interconnected to other problems. And right there and there, it dawned on me to say, hey, young man, you can't keep going around telling people what to do, what not to do for the environment without providing alternatives, right? I mean, you're saying, oh, don't cut trees because it's not helping the environment, it exposes the environment to some sort of vulnerability or risk. Don't cut down woods to make firewood, for example. What alternative are you bringing to the table for people to use to cook, right? And so this sort of changed my mindset as to how I'm going about this whole thing. I mean, while I'm talking about it, I also want to provide alternatives to people. I also want to create something. And it's been a journey, right? We've created like different solutions to different environmental problems. Fast forward to Ecotutu. The Ecotutu idea came about during my service here in Abeokuta in 2016. Okay. So in the course of going about this whole environmental evangelism, as I would call it, across the different communities. So I stumbled into like a vegetable producing community then somewhere around Abeokuta. And I saw, I mean, it was like a movie, right? So you see these guys coming with their rickety trucks and buses coming to pick like stacks of tomatoes in raffia baskets, and then you see this set of people which eventually know to be as farmers selling to these men that comes to pick the produce up, and they just seem to be at the mercy of those men, right? And then I moved to understand what is happening, and it turns out that these are the middlemen that come to buy off this produce from them, and they just have to sell it once they harvest the produce because they don't have ways to store it. And these middlemen already, they understood this gap, they understood what is happening, and it sometimes come with ridiculous prices, right? Coupled with the fact that I have been seeing, so in Lagos, I mean, where I was born, I grew up, I've been seeing a lot of tomatoes, especially in market areas, on the street. I mean, just piling and getting wasted with a lot of flies here and there. And this just sort of connects in my mind, right? Like this will give me an opportunity, addressing this problem would give me an opportunity to solve an environmental problem as well as an economic problem, right? I mean, if I'm able to ensure that most of this food does not get sort of waste to the streets as waste or to our drainages as waste, that is solving environmental problem at best, right? If I'm also able to do this and do well, that means most of this produce would end as money in the pocket of the farmers, in the pocket of the retailers, in the pocket of the aggregators, and that would make a lot of sense, right? And this is food. I mean, we'll need to consume food again and again and again. And so this is what sort of led to the Ecotutu story. And setting out the vision was clear, but we had different ideas around how we want to solve the problem. So we've iterated on different solutions as well. I mean, some that seem like the perfect idea, and then you build something, you get to the field, and man, it's a different ball game. Or we wanted to solve the problem for smallholder farmers. These guys are being ripped off by the middlemen. We need to create a solution that they can afford. And then we got to the field, right? The smallholder farmers that we wanted to solve the problem for and with turns out to be that, I mean, they don't see it as much as a big problem. They feel like it's not their problem, so to say. Like whoever is buying off from them, maybe aggregators in this case or the middlemen, it's their problem to deal with, right? And so we faced a lot of the need for us to educate the market, like for them to see the value of what we're trying to build. And then we told ourselves again, like, hey guys, if we don't pivot quickly enough, we'll just be here, we'll turn to an educational company, right? Setting out to educate smallholder farmers on post-harvest losses or on why they should use cold storage, right? And how do we want to make money from doing this? And then we'll spend a lot of time just turning to educational officers trying to. So we have to look at ways that we need to work around this. Who are the stakeholders that we need to talk to that understand the value of what we're trying to do and are able to pay for that value? Then that would help us be able to reach these smallholder farmers at scale. And so in the course of trying to find answers, we're also subjecting ourselves to continuous trainings, continuous interaction with the stakeholders in that space, trying to know who and who is doing what, and just sort of for us to be able to learn these things from them. And then we create these things. So talking about the name, so we started out with the name EcoBox. Of course, Eco part of it is like it is powered using a sustainable means, which is in this case solar. And then the box is like, oh, we've created this box that cools, right? And then you put in your produce, it stores, and then shoes and all of those things. And we sort of got some sort of media exposure at some point in the early phase. That was like around 2017. And then we're all over the news. People from different parts of the world were looking us up, trying to understand what we're doing, how we're doing it. But it turns out that the name is also associated with companies that are making packaging boxes, right? Australia. Then also there's a shipping company in the US that also does something around they carry maybe logistic, whatever. It's not cold storage, right? But I mean, it has to do with box, and everyone is just using the eco thingy to show that they are like sustainability driven, environmental compliance, and all those things. And right there and there, we thought to ourselves that we need to change this name, right? I mean, we can't be competing names with those that are making delivery boxes and all of those things. And that got us thinking. And I mean, I would say one of my strengths is sort of coining up with names. I mean, it's something that sort of come to me easily. But of course, with the support of my team members, we're able to have that alignment to push for something like that. And here it is. So the Ecotutu story. So here we are, been a journey. We've pivoted from one model to the other. We've tried different concepts, but we held on to the problem which we set to solve. which is the problem of post-harvest losses and farmers not being able to make proper returns on their business. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, we've talked about your story and pretty much your business model and your process and how you've been able to pivot. So why don't you tell us how you intend to scale?
How we intend to scale is by increasing our market shares,
I
right?
see.
So ensuring that uh, every business that requires cold storage for their business, right? So, and cold storage as it is a chain, end to end. So it's not like once you build cold room, you solve your cold storage problem. No, it's like an end to end sort of thing. So you have maybe
Okay.
from the point of harvest to you're able to
Mhm.
deliver the produce to your customers or to your consumers. Cold chain needs to be ensured across this point. And this is one of those things that we're also very intentional about as a company. So ensuring that we innovate across the different parts in the value chain in a way that is accessible and affordable to every business, right? So you don't have to have all the big cash, or you don't have to be able to have plans to set up the big infrastructure before you can leverage on cold storage. So this is us building different solutions affordable for even smaller businesses, the smallholder farmers, the retailers and vendors across the value chain. So now that we're building the solutions out there, right? It's about getting it into the hand of our customers, right? And we are also leveraging or building a lot of collaborations and partnerships with different stakeholders across the value chain. So from farmers cooperative to aggregators associations to market people to procurement companies and to other food chain players, right? So we're building this relationship with them and we're very intentional about it. And we want to ensure that they are able to leverage on the different solutions that we have across that value chain. So this relationship, of course, would enable us, is enabling us. I mean, we want to double down on that, to see that it keeps enabling us in a very significant way for these businesses, for these stakeholders to assess the solution. And also beyond Nigeria, right? We're also building solutions that are also scalable across different parts of the world, right?
I
Starting from other
see.
African countries. So this is also something that we're very conscious about in terms of if we are designing solution or we are designing services, we'd always ask ourselves to say, what if we want to ship this solution to Kenya? What if we want to ship this solution to South Africa? How easy will it be for us? Or how practical will it be for us? And so these thoughts also get in the way of how we get to design our solution. And interestingly, plans are underway. I mean, the very strong conversations are ongoing to expand into 3 other African countries, even though the
I see.
Nigerian market has not even been captured significantly yet. But I mean, it's interesting that we're getting this very strong interest from countries like Zimbabwe, countries like Ghana, Kenya, Ivory Coast, and the likes, right? To say, hey guys, we see what you're doing. We need this in our country to help us do ABC, right? And so we're keeping the conversations going. And I mean, in a few months from now, I'm sure it'll not be surprising. Ecotutu Kenya, Ecotutu Zimbabwe, Ecotutu Ghana, and Ecotutu Ivory Coast.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. So just looking in terms of making sure that you're able to accommodate customize your solutions to other countries as well. So you're thinking about that. So you're working on the present while preparing for the future. So
Exactly.
that's a great strategy. So I'm going to talk to the audience. If you have any questions for Babajide Oluwase, please make sure you put that in the comment section, and then we'll address it because we're talking about Ecotutu, how they're making sure that they have solutions to address food spoilage and food post harvest loss in Nigeria, and based on the conversation we're having, other countries as well. So if you have any questions, you have any comments, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, just put it in the comments, and then we'll get to you. Also, like and share this conversation so that it gets to more people. Okay, if you're enjoying this conversation, I know I am. All right, so let's go to our next question. So, what is your recommendation? Because as you know, Nigerian election is coming in 2023.
Yeah.
So, whoever becomes president needs to understand some of the problems and possible solutions that, especially when it comes to agriculture, because of course Nigeria is trying to diversify their foreign investments and bring in more revenue to the country. So,
Yeah.
what is your recommendation to the Nigerian government in to prevent further food spoilage and addressing food security?
Okay, so I'll be taking on 2 to 3 points,
Okay.
right? So there's a saying that what you don't measure, you don't manage, and then you can't improve. So it's high time that as a country, there is need for us to develop a food loss and waste measurement protocol.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, let's even track how much how much food we're producing as a country. I know there are like statistics flying all over the place to say, oh, we have 45% of food gets to waste and all of that. Are we owning these statistics as a people, as a country? I mean, this is what developed countries have been able to do well. I mean, it's not like they are perfect in terms of how they solve their problems, but because they are intentionally by even trying to understand, right? I mean, this is the problem. Why do we have this problem? What are the root causes to this problem? And then designing programs and initiatives that helps to say, okay, I mean, we've identified the root causes of this problem, and this is how we want to solve this problem by setting targets. You know what I mean? Nigeria is very good at setting targets, and we don't even fulfill most of these targets. Vision 2020 comes to mind, right? And then when 2020 came, and then not so much progress has been made, we shift the goalpost to I think 2035 or 2050. I mean, shifting the problem for another generation to deal. So it's high time
Yeah.
like seriously develop that protocol. I mean, that helps to track a food loss and waste management protocol to see um, what do we need to improve? What's the target as a country in terms of national output? What is driving us as a people? What drives the space? So be it for farmers, for aggregators, for value chain enabler like us and other players across that space. Everyone understands the assignment. Everyone understands this is the goal. In the next 5 years, the next 10 years, this is what we want to achieve as a people. These are the challenges that get in the way. This is how we could go about that. So that's the first step. Second step is about increasing investments in this space, right? I know there are different programs flying here and there to want to improve uh, the different stuff in the value chain. But I think most of the effort has been on production, right? Some school of thought believe that, yes, we know we have waste, right? Okay, let's increase production. So while we increase production, that might make up for the wastage, that might make up for the loss, and then we might eventually feel it. But I mean, imagine the cost of increasing production when you can properly manage and harness the one that you've already produced, right? Trust me, the cost of managing what we've already produced to ensure that it is being maximized cannot be close to the cost of saying we want to increase production, to keep making up for the losses that we're making. Because not just in terms of cash, in terms of even the environmental implication, because you use more water, requires more effort from the producers and stakeholders, more time, and also other variables that comes into producing this food. So we need to increase production, increase investment in the area of reducing post-harvest losses and maximizing what we produce. Then lastly, this speaks directly to what government can do for my kind of business, right? And it's about accelerating and supporting collaborative initiatives to reduce post-harvest losses. There's always this, I mean, our government is always good at like saying big English, or even we generally like to say a lot of big English throughout there. Oh, we do this, we do that, and all of that. I mean, ease of doing business comes to mind, right? But if you ask me, man, in the past in the past years, I mean, the ease of doing business, I mean, I've not really experienced it too, right? I mean, maybe some businesses that are like really enjoying the ease of doing business and all that. I mean, talk about assessing FX for you to maybe import some components to be able to build. I mean, we get to see struggle like every other business out there, irrespective of the sector we are playing, to be able to assess, I mean, FX in the bank rates, right? So just so that we're able to bring this component in a very cost-effective way. I mean, we still struggle like every other business in terms of maybe moving food items from the north to the south. Man, you pay a lot of unimaginable taxes and levies and fees on the road, and you're moving food, right? I mean, you're not moving. You are not moving some kind of machines that maybe you're going to use to set up a plant. You're moving like food, raw food, and then you still see these tax collectors and whatever it is that they are on the road. You see them like in layers. You could mean like 10, 15, 20, right?
Wow.
And for every point, there's always something to pay. Oh, you need to pay for this ticket around this and that. Things that you've not heard about, right? And then because you need to be very time conscious with things that you're moving, customers are waiting, and you're just like you're compelled to pay those fees. At the end of the day, when you start doing the calculations, like okay, so what's the cost of doing this whole thing? It sometimes doesn't make sense. And this is why for some of us, we just sometimes we wake up in the morning and say, wait, I mean, who sent me a message? You thought this is bad. Why can't I just leave this whole thing and just go look for job somewhere? I'm sure I'll do fine, right? And they give me like KPIs, and I hit my KPIs, and I get paid salaries and benefits at the end of the month, and I can do my baby boy in peace, right? But but other times, I mean, you're driven by that vision to that bigger purpose of you want to make a mark, right? I mean, beyond, of course, you want to make money, you want to live the best of life, but beyond all of that, you also want to be able to improve lives, right? And so in this case, using business as a force for good. But then when you have, it seems like most of the variables out there like are working against you and say, hey, young man, you need to leave this thing and just go look for something else to do, right? So government needs to um, put words to action, right? Accelerate and support. And there are a lot of platforms now that are like bringing young, I mean, like LEAP, right? Bringing young people together, equipping young people, putting us in the best shape for us to be able to pursue these dreams, pursue these goals, solve these problems, right? And then solving it in a very viable way. So we need to really see the support, not just saying we are supporting or we are accelerating and then it just ends on paper. I need to feel it, right, as a people, as a person, as an entrepreneur, right? I need to feel that support from my government. I mean, when you move around the world and then you interact with other young people from other countries, maybe not so much in Africa. I mean, and then you hear what the kind of support they're leveraging from their support, and then you be like, guys, you guys are just, it's like you guys are like solving this problem in a very, I mean, like, can I just move here and come and start solving this problem with you? And I don't have to go through this hassle of me wanting to solve problem and provide solutions. So I can't stress this last bit enough, right? So government and other government stakeholders need to accelerate and support collaborative initiatives, specifically for this sector which we are playing, right? Reducing food waste. I know a lot of effort is going on here and there. Some people are feeling it, some people are not feeling it. But if there's a mainstream effort from the government, I mean, we can tell, right? Even if you are not benefiting from it directly yet, you can tell from the mainstream impact or from the mainstream value that it is adding to businesses out there. Yeah, so I think this is it for me.
Thank you so much, Babajide. That was quite an extensive response. Just the government creating an enabling environment and also supporting smallholder farmers to make sure that they actually avoid food waste, because increasing production is not necessarily the answer to that. So let me go into the final question. Like I think I said last week, LEAP is 20. So like I said last week, the hallmark of a sustainable organization that has stood the test of time is when the organization is 20 years and above. So LEAP has crossed that benchmark. So that is very, very exciting. So this question is even something that the founder of LEAP Africa, Ndidi Uneli, she keeps giving this clarion call on food security, that it's a global state of emergency. And she has been, if you see most of her speeches, her articles, her blog, guest writing articles, she's always talking about that. Can you just shed some light on that statement, on the food security being being a state of emergency globally?
Food insecurity, right? I mean, it's a global issue that needs attention. I mean, it's a pandemic on its own. Even if we don't get to have lockdown, or we don't get to use face mask to prevent. I mean, hunger is all over the place. The population is growing. Um, hunger as well is growing. Dislocation in the world. I mean, just like we had for COVID, dislocation in the world is also playing a big role in the spread of hunger, like what we have in Russia, Ukraine. I mean, you would say what concerns Nigeria with the Russia-Ukraine war, invasion, or whatever you call it, but we are feeling it in different forms, right? I mean, there's some produce that we get to import from other countries. So it's not like a struggle for a very limited resources for like, I mean, hundreds of countries. And then we're talking about food affecting jobs. So this whole global economic dislocation affects jobs, leads cause insecurity. And I mean, when people's economic well-being is being affected, their purchasing power drops, right? And when purchasing power drops, I mean, you can't buy the kind of food you were buying the previous month, in the previous year. So meaning that you have like smaller portion of food for you to run with, right? And beyond even the quantity of food, you also talk about the quality of food, right? So now most people are just going about just having to fill their belly, are not even really so concerned about the quality or the nutritional implication of what they are using to fill their belly. And so this is a call to action, right? So like I said, it's not like the kind of pandemic that locks everyone in, but it's a very big one that is like it's in deep into our fabric as a people. And a clarion call to all the stakeholders out there, right? So I'm playing my role here already to ensure that we're able to maximize the food that is being produced, right? And you don't have to say we need to produce more for us to make up for the loss. I mean, if you produce this portion of food, I want to ensure through my business that we're able to maximize that portion of food and that it gets to everyone that's supposed to get to in the right condition and at the right time, right? And so this is me ensuring that we maximize the food that we produce. And so to other stakeholders out there, to the government, the private sector, the civic societies, and every other stakeholders that could be playing in this form, that we need to rise to this occasion, right? We need to look at ways we can strengthen our economic well-being as a people. I mean, this hunger thing it needs our utmost attention. Maybe you have food in your table, maybe I have food in my table, but realizing that there are people that can't readily have access to these things, I mean, should not just to at least want to try and see what we can do, right? So in the interest of seeing what we can do, what we need to do, we can understand how can we do it, who is doing it, and how can we support them, and how can we be part of it. So it's something that we all need to be conscious about, and it's not seeming to be getting better, right?
Yeah.
And so this is why we need to remind ourselves that it's a problem that we must solve, and if we don't, I mean, the ripple effects it's unimaginable.
Honestly, it's really crazy because even let's talk about food insecurity. What about inflation?
Yeah,
Like what when you 30,000 naira in just 6 months ago is not 30,000 naira today. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
30,000 naira last year. When you go to the grocery store, when you go to the market, it's crazy, and then even on top of the food wastage and then the insecurity, so people are not farming like before, so you have there
So I
are so
mean,
many
you
layers.
would think that it's insane, right? That we have food crisis and they were still wasting food.
Wow,
I
that's a double
mean,
whammy.
you can't wrap your head around that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
as humans, are we that rational as we think we are? I mean, so why can't we just maximize what we've already produced and say, okay, we produce this volume amount of food, and this amount of food needs to be properly channeled to where and not a single drop should go to waste. And I mean,
That's
and
true.
then like 40, 45, 50%, I mean, going by the data from the Rockefeller Foundation, is still going to waste. That's insane.
Mm.
That's the change.
So thanks for that. So we're going to get comments from the questions from the audience. So if you all have any questions, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, as you're liking and sharing, please make sure that you put it in the comment section. I'm just going to address one question from YouTube from Mari Salami. So she said, so how is the food supply chain like from farmers to final consumers?
Okay, so this is the picture. I wish I have like a chart to do like that sketch here. Yeah, so the supply chain starts from even when you're providing from the input provider. right? Because if input providers, so for seeds, for fertilizer, for nutrient, and all of those things, if those things are not in place, there's nothing the farmer wants to still into the soil, right? So it starts from that point. So provide the inputs to the farmers. The farmers, of course, plant, cultivate, and after a while, they harvest, right? From the point of harvest, the way the chain typically is, so for vegetables in Nigeria, is there are this set of guys, right? They are known as the aggregators.
Okay.
On the streets, they are called the middlemen, right? These guys have been working with farmers for years. Farmers trust them. They trust them more than me, that looks like a city boy that comes into the rural area to want to help them with my cold storage. So they rather want to work with that guy than work with me, right? So this guy of takes the produce, the harvest from farmer A, farmer B, farmer. So let's use tomatoes for example, right?
Okay.
And let's use hypothetically Said as the aggregator, right?
Okay.
Said collects, say, 5 baskets of tomatoes from farmer A, 7 baskets of tomatoes from farmer B, 15 baskets of tomatoes from farmer C, up to like say farmer DQ. At the end of the day, Said has 100 baskets of tomatoes. Said gets a truck or a bus, as the case may be. He stacks these tomatoes into the bus, maybe somewhere in Oyo State, and then off he comes to my 12, right? He brings tomatoes to my 12 market. In some cases, Said already has some customers that buys from him on a regular basis. And so Said calls them to say, hey, Mama Yo, I'm at the market. Mama Yo comes to my 12, pick a portion, maybe she's buying like 7 or 8 baskets of tomatoes, pick a portion from Said and pay Said for that tomatoes. And then other customer comes to buy from Said. In some cases, Said still has some portion left for open market customers. Those that typically would wake in the morning and go to my 12, for example, to buy tomatoes, and then he buys. The price of the produce will be largely dependent on the nature of things in the market for that day. If you have flood of tomatoes from different aggregators from different corners of the country in the market that day, then you should expect a price crash because everyone will be looking to sell their produce out for these customers to buy because they can't take it back and there's no how they can store it. And if it stays to the next day without cold storage, it deteriorates, right? And so if you're supposed to sell this basket for 5,000 today, you most likely be selling for like 3,000 or even less the next day because. So that's scenario A. Scenario B is that Said gets to the market, there's not so much tomatoes in the market, right? Said is able to increase the price of tomatoes because there's not so much, and then you have more customers that need tomatoes for that day, meaning it's a good day for Said, right? And then once he's done selling, he puts together the cash, he deducts his facilitation fee. So the cost of paying for that bus to move it from Oyo for farmer A, B, C, and D, Said bears, it takes on the cost upfront. So once he's done paying for the produce, once he's done like selling the produce, it takes off his commission. That commission takes care of the cost of transportation, the cost of selling, and also the profit. And then it pays the remaining back to the farmers. And that cycle continues. So typically, this is what the value chain looks like. And then the person buying from the market, buying 5, 6 baskets, takes it from myself, for example, into the inner street, so somewhere in maybe Ogba or Surulere, right? And then sell to the retail customers that come say, oh, give me tomatoes 200, give me tomatoes 500, give me tomatoes 400, or 1,000. And then she retail it in bit. She's done selling that batch. And this is how that works. In some cases, it's a case for restaurants, canteens, hotels. So they would typically go, maybe for someone like Said, they already would have like an arrangement with Said, say, okay, you're giving me 5 basket of tomatoes or 10 basket of tomatoes, maybe twice a week or 3 times a week or once a week, as that case may be. Yeah. And then the end point is that it ends on our tables, right? So meaning that for every one of us that eats here, we are all stakeholders in the value chain. Even if your role is just to eat, right?
Okay, that was a very simplified message with regards to the food chain. So we're just gonna go further to your final thoughts.
My final thoughts. What is my final
Yes.
thoughts? Okay, so I would like to come from the angle of doing, right? So I identified the problem. I was able to link that problem to what interests me. My background is in urban and regional planning, so it's nothing really related to food or stuff. Yes, related to environment, right? And I've been interested in environment, but somehow I've been able to plug this issue I'm tackling to those things I'm interested in, right? I mean, like I said, food waste, of course, causes environmental problem, right? So meaning that if I'm able to reduce on food waste, I'm able to solve environmental problem. And so my passing thought to every listener nowadays, there's always that one problem waiting for attention. Then I mean there are a lot of problems, right? So you just have to pick your battle. I mean, where are you starting off from? Um, don't be part of those that complain. I mean, we get to complain to all of the time. Even for us doing the business, we say, "Oh my God, this has happened again." But even while complaining, we are still doing right. We're still getting our hands dirty. We are still sort of getting in the ring and say, I mean, despite the whole challenges, I still believe I have a role to play here. I mean, if we all have that mindset, maybe our problems are a bit half solved, right? I mean, everyone getting in the ring, picking one problem or the other, and wanting to play a role into a better country, into a better Nigeria, into a better Africa, into a better world. So I would implore us. I mean, for the value chain that we play already. I mean, I don't have any background in agriculture, but here I am identifying this problem, like committing myself to solve the problem, and also continuous learning is something that you can't do without, right? I mean, you need to keep improving yourself. You have a lot of resources now that would help you be able to, I mean, practically do anything you want to do or be whatever you want to be, right? Subject yourself to continuous, have that open mind to want to solve problem, subject yourself to continuous learning. And finally, it can get really lonely, boring, and tiring. So you need to find yourself a community of like minds. I mean, sometimes I get tired too. I get demotivated. Why I find I re-energize myself because I am in community or communities of people that are also doing the same thing in different ways and different forms. And then they let me or they remind me that, hey man, you're not alone, right? When this together, sometimes it won't be easy. Other times it's so interesting. So finding yourself that community of like minds would help you keep it going, right? We help you keep it going. So a recap of my passing thoughts, because I know like I've sort of put a lot of points out there. So find the problem, find something to tackle. I mean, don't just be there and just enjoying everything that you can enjoy. Find the problem you can solve, subject yourself to continuous learning. There's always room for improvement. And finally, find yourself a community of like minds. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time, Babajide Oluwase. You really made this a very interesting and engaging conversation about agriculture and some of the solutions in terms of avoiding food wastage, sustainability, and then even talking about the value chain. That is a very, very good and apt way to describe it. So again, Babajide, thank you so much for your time. And this is not going to be our last conversation. So I look forward to having a conversation with you at a later time.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
for
you again. Thank you again. Take care.
Bye.
So this was a really, really interesting and engaging conversation on, on having storage solutions and then also the sustainability of agriculture. So I'm very, very excited about our conversation. So stay tuned next week. The Development Sector Series, hashtag Devsectorseries. We're going to be having another special guest next week so that we can kind of have conversations about changing the world. Okay, again, I'm going to be putting out snippets and videos of the documentary coming up, Untold Impact, the role of civil society in national development. I'm very excited about that, so stay tuned for that. Also, just another quick announcement, I am also producing a documentary on the 2022 Civic Space Outlook. It's in partnership with Spaces for Change and the Ford Foundation. So that is coming up real soon. And I'm gonna just give you more information about that. Just talking about the civic space. What is the civic space? Okay, it's freedom of speech, freedom of association, and freedom of expression. So more information about that within the next coming days and the next coming weeks. Thank you again for watching, and let us change the world together. Take care.